also very exciting that this show is happening finally.
Finally. We've been working on this for like a year and a half almost. We've been filming for a year.
My name is Maggie Freeling. I'm a journalist and a public radio producer. I'm looking for the truth about what happened to Maura Murray. Nearly everyone I've spoken to, from podcasters Tim and Lance to Maura's family, has told me about the police stonewalling them. Getting Jeff Strelzin is a big deal for us. He's been on Maura's case since day one. He's one of the key reasons why law enforcement has remained silent for so many years. He's also done very few interviews with the media about Maura's case. If we get him to open up, it will move the needle forward in a way no one ever has.
Are you surprised at how much attention this case has gotten over the...
I'm not, because really over the last, 10 or 15 years, with the advent of the internet, people really take an interest in what we do. They take an interest in police, prosecution, and people love a mystery. And people like the challenge, too. They want to be the ones to solve it.
People have said that you guys know where she is.
We don't know where she is, and we don't know where she was going, and we don't know what happened to her. We have done searches, interviews, grand jury work, forensic testing. We've followed up on leads from psychics. We have done anything that there is to follow up on it. We've done it.
What particular tests have you done?
I can't get into the specifics because it's an open criminal case.
Now, there's been a lot of talk, and I know we have tons of armchair detectives out there that
internet experts.
Yeah, internet experts. And a lot of that stuff has been critical of law enforcement. What is your take on that?
People form opinions on less than perfect information is what I would say.
Throughout this investigation, there hasn't been a person of interest or a suspect. Have you ruled anybody out?
So it's our practice not to name suspects in a case. We don't typically ever do that.
But have people been ruled out that you've looked at and said, okay, definitely not?
I would tell you that it's difficult to rule anyone out until you know what happened.
Butch Atwood is now dead. Have you tried reaching out to his wife to ask more questions?
I'm not going to give you any specifics about who we've talked to or what we've done in the case.
He was the last person to see her.
Maybe he was. Maybe he wasn't. We don't know that answer until we find out what happened to Maura.
Strelzin is notorious for keeping details about Maura's case close to the vest. Sitting across from him right now, it seems like he has a non-answer for everything. I know Fred Murray is frustrated that he can't see the files. Why can't Fred see the files?
We have shared more information with Fred than anyone else, but we want to protect any potential case. And we've explained that to Fred over and over again, that's why we're doing it. If it turns out that Maura's been the victim of a murder and we were able to find that perpetrator and prosecute that person, having information that's only known to the investigators is critical. Being able to say in a courtroom, the reason that defendant knew that is because he or she was the killer, not because they read it on the news or read it on the blog. If there is a killer out there, the last thing we want the killer to know is to know what we have or don't have.
For most of the last 13 years, she's decided to speak with us on camera. You didn't want to have your name attached to this.
It didn't feel like it would be safe for me to do that because obviously something bad happened. I don't know what or who.
Right.
Because I'm thinking if there's some kind of wrongdoing with law enforcement, it was kind of scary to me. But they know who I am because I called and told them who I am. So then I thought it would be safer if people knew. When I got to the corner by the weathered barn, the police car was there. And there was another car facing it. They were nose to nose on the right. It didn't even look like an accident to me. What it actually looked like is she had driven her car onto the wrong side of the road, and it was just up against a snowbank. I remember seeing it on my TV that she was missing, and they said, you know, if anyone knows anything, call us. And I told them, I said, you know, car 001 passed me. And they went, wait, car 001? Are you sure it was 001? And I said, absolutely, without a doubt, I know it was 001. A day or two later, I got a call back from the police department, and they asked me, are you sure it was 001? And I thought it was odd that they would call back, and they didn't say, like, are you sure you didn't see anybody? They were like, are you sure it was 001?
Karen's phone records confirmed that once she had cell service, she placed 2 calls in quick succession, the first at 7:52 p.m. If we take into account the 1 to 2 minutes Karen estimates she stopped at the accident scene and back-timed the drive, that puts Karen at the crash site at approximately 7:37 p.m., 9 minutes before Sergeant Smith arrived at 7:46. So if Sergeant Smith was 9 minutes behind her, who was driving the police SUV? Only one condition. Jeff Strelzin will be in the room during both of our interviews.
How are you? Good. I'm John Monahan.
Roderick.
It's this kind of move that makes those interested in this case suspicious of the police.
There's been a lot of things said about law enforcement and what they did and didn't do.
Is there anything that you would like to clear up or say to just any of those people?
Sure. So this is really the first time I've been able to openly talk about my story. I heard a call come in for a car crash on Route 112. So when I got to the scene, I pulled up and Cecil Smith was already there. And I rolled down my passenger side window and said, hey, what's up? Do you need me to do anything? And he said, well, Butch, this bus driver, is checking up in the Mountain Lakes area. And I said, well, I'll look around and I'll check some of the back roads. So I did. I turned around and I went back towards Swiftwater. It made sense that you would go back toward where there's more civilization. So I confined my search area to where I knew there were people and stores, because it appeared that's where the car must have come from. And didn't see anyone, didn't see any footprints. So about an hour later, I left.
You didn't get out and interview any of the neighbors?
No, not that night. No, we did do a bunch of follow-up investigation, but that evening, no.
We know that no search happened beyond those 100 yards by the local police, east in the direction she was headed. The person that can search down there was the state cop who's there. And it's his beat.
And then a day or two after that is when my lieutenant called me and he's like, hey, did you help Haverhill with a car crash? And I said, yeah. And he said, is there a report? And I said, no, I did what we called a general service report. It just assisted other department. And he said, well, I think we're going to need to pull a report on it and write a better narrative. I think I went to 3 places that had surveillance cameras: Cumberland Farms, DP Quick Stop, and then Shaw's in Woodsville. It's still where it was.
It's named Shaw's today, but back in 2004, it was called Butson's. Crime writer James Renner told me an eyewitness thought she saw Maura and 2 women there just before the crash. This sighting supports James's theory that Maura ran away with help from someone she knew.
I pulled the tapes just to see if perhaps she had stopped there on her way through. Didn't find anything.
Dispatched to the report of a car accident, and I came around the corner and there was a black vehicle in my lane facing me, and there was no one around the vehicle.
Sergeant Cecil Smith was the first law enforcement officer at Maura Murray's crash site. This is his first interview ever.
I could see something red had been splashed on the driver's side door, and then I also saw something splashed on the ceiling of the vehicle. I could make an educated guess that it was wine from the box of wine that was sitting behind the driver's seat. I went and talked to Mr. Atwood. I said, did she look like she was hurt? Because when I made a quick check of the vehicle, both airbags were deployed, and there was a crack on the windshield, driver's side.
What did you make of Butch when you spoke with him?
I didn't speak to him very long. I just, probably less than a minute, I would say. And I didn't know him before, so.
This response is intriguing. I didn't ask him if he knew him, so it's an odd piece of information for Sergeant Smith to offer up, unprompted. It makes me wonder how he'll answer another important question. Have you heard the theory that there was another officer on the scene before you, that the report by Witness A?
I've heard of that, but there was no one there when I got on scene.
What vehicle were you in?
I was in the Explorer 4x4, and the reason that would have been, it was around this time of year, winter,
Right.
February, snow on the ground.
So, according to Officer Smith, he was driving the SUV, not a sedan, as everyone has speculated. And according to this account, the former Chief Jeff Williams was not remotely involved. Were you at all concerned, thinking that there was a girl who was maybe drinking out in the cold?
Yes, I did check in the immediate area. East, it would have been, checking both sides of the road. Granted, I didn't get to go a great distance, but I saw no indication that somebody had gone through the snow.
But why would law enforcement seem so curious about her account after she reported it?
I got a call back from the police department. They didn't say, like, are you sure you didn't see anybody? They were like, are you sure it was 001? I said, yeah.
I don't know the answer to that question. Maybe that's just following up with people on that incident.
It does seem strange. This is why it's important that we speak to Jeff Williams himself.
We knew at some point that they were going to breach the topic of police conspiracy. To see Smith and to see Strelzin, to see those two come together in the state police barracks, to see that interview happen was amazing, right? That's something that we've wanted to see for quite a while.
Right. So you're referring to the end of the episode where Officer Cecil Smith, who was the first on the scene, supposedly going by the police logs, that night, February 9th, Cecil Smith was first on the scene, and we see also Jeffrey Strelzin, but John Monahan, who's been long talked about as the sort of mystery law enforcement that was found on the scene, or not found on the scene, but was he on the scene? Was he not on the scene?
Apparently on the scene in an unofficial way. I was looking at what Alex was writing right there, and always been under the impression, like you had asked him, always been under the impression that the Westmans said Smith arrived in the sedan. Mm-hmm. And when asked about 001, they said they never saw any SUV at the scene. I've been looking through the police dispatch. I can't find it here. So if there's any documentation, any...
So, what do you have, Lance? I ask you, what do you have in these police records right here in front of you? That's like attached to your hip.
Cecil Smith, according to the dispatch logs, was dispatched at 7:29, was en route within the same minute, and arrived at 7:46.
So Cecil arrived at 7:46.
Yep, according to the dispatch log.
Okay.
ID him, it says ID P042 Smith. Shows when he was dispatched, when he was en route, when he arrived, and when he cleared. And the narrative H2 is, I'm under the assumption that H2 is the vehicle that he was driving.
Okay, so it's not, H2 isn't assigned to the person.
Shows when he was dispatched, when he was en route, when he arrived, and when he cleared. And the narrative H2 is, I'm under the assumption that H2 is the vehicle that he was driving.
Okay, so it's not, H2 isn't assigned to the person, and...
It's not assigned to the person. H2 is the vehicle.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's conflicting with the police reports you're saying. What they said to Maggie and I.
I don't know. Because I could be reading be reading this wrong.